Hello, this video is going to cover parameters, bump charts, and control charts. We're going to jump into Tableau using the sales data. And the first thing we're going to do is create a parameter. In order to create a parameter, we're going to go to this drop-down box right here and choose Create Parameter. And then you can just name it Parameter 1. And actually, let's get rid of this one so we can recreate it. Delete. All right, so hit the drop-down box and choose parameter 1 or create parameter. We're going to create parameter 1. You're going to choose an integer for the data type. And then under the allowable values, you're going to choose a list. The purpose of this parameter is to allow the user who's working with your data visualization to choose whether your visualization is going to show information about the sales data, about the profit data, or about the discount data. And so we're going to create a list, and the parameter is going to have three values, a 1, a 2, or a 3, where a 1 is the sales variable, and then a 2 is the profit variable. And right now notice I'm just giving it a label. We're gonna specify what the variable is in a little bit. And then number 3 is the discount variable. And again, I'm gonna give the 3 a label and I'm gonna call it discount. So that's creating the parameter. And now what we wanna do is that parameter can either be a 1, a 2, or a 3. And the end user is going to be able to choose what value. And what the end user is going to see is sales, profit, or discount. And so the next thing that we need to do is create a calculated field. And it's just going to be an if statement. We're going to call this calculated field value, V-A-L-U-E. And it's going to be just an if statement. If parameter 1 equals a 1, then I want the variable value to be sales. And then else, if parameter 1 equals a 2, then I want the variable value to be profit. And then the parameter 1 can only be a 1, a 2, or 3. So if it's not a 1 or a 2, then it is a 3. So I'm just going to say else. I want the variable value to be discount. And then I need my end statement in order to complete the calculated field. And notice it says the calculation is valid. Okay, so that's a parameter, but now I'm going to show you how to use it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a bump chart. Now, in order to create a bump chart is basically a data visualization on the ranks of a value in this case. And so we're going to create a calculated field using this new variable value. And to do that, I can right click it and go to create a calculated field. And then I am going to call this, let me see, value rank. And that's all we're going to do is we're going to actually rank the value, but actually, because we're going to be using this in aggregation, I want to rank the sum of the value. So either the sum of the sales, the sum of the profits, or the sum of the discounts. And again, my calculation is valid, so I've got that. Now I'm going to take this new variable, value rank, and I'm going to bring it up to rows. And then for our bump chart, we want to look at the ranks over different months of the year. And so I'm going to look at the order date. Order date, and I'm going to bring order date up, and I'm going to use months. And I want discrete months, not continuous months. And so here I'm going to choose month up here, which is just going to be January, February, March, et cetera, as opposed to January of 2019, February of 2019, etc. So I'm going to choose month up here. And then notice what we have here is some rankings from 0 to 12. And what I want to rank then is, let's rank the subcategory. So I'm going to take subcategory and I'm going to drag it over to color. And then now for every subcategory, I have a ranking. That's a little bit messy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's allow the user to choose which category inside, which category they can look at, and then inside the categories they can look at the subcategories. So let's take category, and let's right click it and choose show filter, and then let's go ahead and make this a single value drop down. And so right now it's on furniture. We could change it to office supplies if we want, that's fine. And these are the subcategories inside of office supplies. Now, what I want it to do is I want it to rank the values per month. And so in order to get it to rank the values per month, inside of the rank value, I'm going to choose this drop down box and I'm going to say compute using, and I want it to rank it based on the subcategory. So inside each month, I want it to rank the subcategories. And now what I want to do to make this bump chart better is I want to add labels, but I'm going to add labels in a different way. I'm going to add labels by adding what's called a dual axis. And so actually, before I get there, one thing I want to do is I want to put the top ranked thing up top. So I want 1 to be at the top and, if you will, 9 to be at the bottom. So to do that, I'm going to right click the axis and I'm going to choose edit axis and I'm going to choose reverse. And that's just going to flip the axes. Okay, now these next few steps, I need you to hear what I'm saying. I want to create this dual axis, and to do that, I'm going to, on a Mac, I'm going to hold down Command, or on a Windows machine, I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to drag this value rank over and to copy it into a second instance of the variable. Remember, I'm holding down Control or Command. I'm going to let go. Oops, sorry. Let's try that one more time. Let go. And now I have 2 copies of this. There's a couple things I want to do. Number one, I want this second one to be a dual axis. So I'm going to right click the second one and I'm going to go down to dual axis, and that's going to put them on the same graph. But notice that now I have this one reversed and I have this one going from 0 to 10 and this one going from 10 to 0. So I want them to be the same. So I'm going to right click the axis on the right and I'm going to choose synchronize, and that's going to make them match up at all times. Notice over here in the marks card that we have 2 marks. We have actually one that's called all, that's going to impact everything. And then I have the value rank. This is the first instance. So this value rank is this one, but then I have another one down here. So now my marks card, because I have 2 variables up here, I have 2 instances of my marks card. So I'm going to go down to the bottom marks card. And because these lines are duplicated right now, what I really want is I want the second one to be my labels eventually. So I'm going to change it from automatic, which is the lines, and I'm going to change it to circles. And so now the lines are this value rank and the circles are this one. And so on this one, I want to make this the labels. And so I'm going to, again, hold down Control or Command and drag this into labels on the second marks card. That's important. And then notice now that they're underneath the circles, but what I really want them is inside the circles. So I'm going to go into this label and I'm going to edit it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to align the labels inside the circles. So I'm going to center them horizontally and I'm going to center them vertically, and that's going to put them inside. And now notice I have some are black and some are white. And to fix that, I'm going to go to the font submenu and I'm going to make them all white by choosing white. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little bit bigger and easier to see. So let's make them an 11, and let's see. Yeah, I'll bold them also. Okay. So that is my bump chart, and let me make it a little bit bigger. Do that. So what this chart is showing is for each subcategory inside of office supplies, this is currently ranking the sales. But if I come over to parameter and I choose to show the parameter, again, right now the parameter is sales, but I can make it now be profit. And notice that now I have a bump chart for profit, and all I did was change one little drop-down box. In addition to that, I can also change the category. So instead of office supplies, I could go to what furniture has the highest profits. right? And so I can see that this light green, which is chairs, pretty much has the #1 ranking for profits except for August. And then if I wanted to look at discounts, again, I can, in the parameter, I can choose discounts. And if I wanted to look at technology, again, look at this amount of customization that I have within this graph. Let's go back to sales real quick. And then let's go back to office supplies. And again, understand that the pink one, which is storage inside of office supplies, it pretty much dominates, right? In January, it's second. And then it's first from February through July. And then it's second again, and then it's first. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to create, let's call this a bump chart. Real quickly, I also want to create a control chart. And so again, with a control chart now, I want that order date, but I want it to be continuous. And so I'm going to take order date, and I'm going to bring it up to columns. And in this case, I'm going to look at the continuous months. And I'm going to bring that value up one more time, which is now down here. Value. And I'm going to bring it up to rows. And I just want the sum of values. And again, I can show parameter one more time, because right now parameter is sales, and I'll be able to change it from sales to discounts to profits. Now, in order to make this a control chart, what I really need to do is I first want to put the mean across the months, and then I also want to put, in a control, which is basically a 95% confidence interval. So to put the mean, the first thing I'm going to do is right click the axes. I'm going to choose add a reference line. And I just want a single line, and I want that to be the average or the mean of the sum of values over the months. And let's go ahead and make that line red. And the other thing, if you notice, it has a label. It tells me what it is. I'm going to click OK. And then lastly, I'm going to add one more reference line. Add a reference line. But this time, I'm going to choose distribution, and I want to choose the value to be a standard deviation, and specifically I want, instead of one standard deviation on above and below the mean, I want 2 standard deviations above and below the mean to be approximately a 95% confidence interval. And let's make the fill, let's say light blue, and then click OK. And so now over time I can see when the sum of sales goes out of control. In this case, I have a significantly high jump in what month? November of 2023. And now remember also that because I have used the parameter here, I can change this entire control chart from sales to profit. And now I have a control chart for profit. Similarly, I can also change it to discount, and now I have a control chart for discount. So here in this video, we saw how to create a parameter. Hopefully you saw the value of creating a parameter. We learned how to create a bump chart, and we learned how to create a control chart.